it's your boy Matt here. So this is a personal update for the I think it's the 14th of October today. Now I'm going to talk about a couple of things. So the first order of business is this concept that I run into with these fuckwits who've spent their careers working for government and do nothing else. And it's not because working for government is bad. I think it's an okay career option. It's the attitude of people who just do it because it's a very mid career, okay? Very mid. The best and brightest do not end up working for government. And that's just a fact. Like, it doesn't pay as much, and you have so many barriers to getting work done. You don't get to be as aggressive, and talent does not end up working for government. There are some exceptions to this. I think the CSIRO is a good example. If I had to work anywhere in government, that's where it would be. But in general, government's the B-listers. I'd actually say the C-listers. B-listers might be NGOs. NGOs kind of go all over the place. Sometimes they're actually the D and E listers. But people who should work in the private sector. The issue why I don't work in the private sector anymore is because it's more corrupt. Okay, it's not because I've been gambling, because that's how these people see it. They see anything which isn't a public service job as gambling. They have a very limited worldview. The issue I have is that I'm not corrupt, and I keep finding issues where people are chasing this profit motive in the private sector, and it gets them to behave terribly. The profit motive is often a very strong cause for corrupt behavior. Case in point, I'm going to say this as clearly as possible. Michael Armstrong, the Signals Directorate, have exhibited corrupt behavior, and they are an intelligence service, and that is horrifying. So Michael was deliberately building a gym. He had an incubator there. He was running it as a business, and he was also double dealing with the Australian Signals Directorate, and as well as the military and these things. And he was doing this to try and increase his relevance culturally, so he would have a higher social media presence and be able to make more money and be able to sell his art. It's a straightforward case of corruption, and the harassment I've experienced is a continuation of that corruption. What they did is that they enslaved me. I decided I didn't want anything to do with them, right? And the products of my work with Jordan is part of the result of that enslavement and our break away from these fuckers in Signals. They're not good people, right? They're not self-aware people. They have a very narrow worldview, and everyone who is not on their team is by default the enemy and not just the third party. So when they enslaved me, and I say I don't want to be enslaved anymore, in their world I'm now the enemy, where really it's just, no, I'm a third party. The only reason there's hostilities is because you guys keep fucking abusing me and keep trying to steal from me, right? I did a collaborative work. It created immense fruit, which will progress society to an immense degree. It will allow us to hopefully break free of work and be able to work towards more of a Keynesian or social democratic utopia, potentially. Something approaching that, because I don't think there's such a thing as a utopia. But let's be clear, they've been corrupt. This is corruption that they have exhibited. Like, they enslaved a person using their power and authority. They tried to profit off that person. They tried to then abuse that person to keep maintaining media relevance, in the hopes that this would be able to produce financial benefit to Michael. And the entire thing has been a case of overt corruption. Now, the reason why I live in a homeless shelter is because I blew the whistle on corruption. And every time I found corruption in the private sector, I confronted my management about it, or I've refused to do the work. It hasn't been gambling, it's been that I have a strong moral core. It's the opposite of that. And the other side of things is that I've learned, and this is a controversial thing to say in Canberra, like a lot of these public service people are kind of mid, right? Like the best and brightest do not end up working in the public service most often. Like they might end up working in like the top tier jobs, so like, you know, Prime Minister in Cabinet, maybe DFAT, maybe ASIO. Even then I wouldn't say ASIO's top tier. I wouldn't say the same about DFAT. But there are some people in those institutions who are. Like the best and brightest, they might end up working in a think tank, or they might end up working on their own projects or consult for government. But they're not going to work directly for government because it doesn't pay enough and there's too much in the way of being able to do good works there. And what has always been the issue is that I've been dealing with these B-listers associated with Michael and Signals, and they've been very fucking petty and jealous and overtly corrupt, and they don't seem to get that they are the bad guys in this, and they're not going to get it because their worldview and their philosophical sophistication is not enough for them to be able to understand the world enough to understand that they are that their behavior is corrupt. Okay, they grew up during the War on Terror, where it's just like everything who has a different worldview to us must be the enemy, and like they haven't studied the history of the world. They don't see, like they're these people who are okay with just really shitty behavior by governments. They are corrupt people, and they've tried to benefit from that corruption, and they've tried to benefit from that corruption by abusing me so that they get more relevance. And it's not much more complicated than that. So again, they enslaved a person. That person and his colleague broke through free of that enslavement. They then got, because they see the world in a very black and white way, they tried to enslave, I'm now their enemy, and throughout this entire thing, Michael has been trying to profit from this. It has been corruption. This is the definition of corruption, and it's been done by an intelligence service. And it's probably time for these people to face some form of criminal prosecution. Have a lovely day, everyone.